We all want to know that story because it is our story. As human beings, it's a story of God's beautiful, incessant, passionate desire to be in relationship with you, with me, with all of us, and that He does not wait to condemn. Brothers and sisters, may the Lord give you His peace. Father Malachy coming to you from Nicaragua. Joy to be here with you again. As a friar, as a Franciscan, as a missionary, I've had the graced opportunity to live in other countries, to visit other countries, to be in different parts of the U.S., bringing the message of the gospel. And for me, it's just such a gift to be able to see people meet the Lord. I was doing this a few years ago with brothers that are in our mission in Ireland, and we went on mission from there to Belgium, to a festival in a city called Ghent. So we were at Ghent Fest. And along with the missionaries of charity and some Carmelite friars, we were doing an event in the middle of the city where all the people who were coming in for the concerts and other events during the day, cultural fairs, etc. Food, amazing food, pretzels, killer pretzels, the fries, awesome! And there we were in the midst of all of that in a church, inviting people to come in and pray. And what we do is each evening, set up Eucharistic adoration in the church. We'd have music, and we go out into the streets just there in front of the entrance and ask people to come in. And one of the sisters that was there was just like absolutely crazy when it came to inviting people to come in. Sister Pushpa, she'd jump in front of bikes and be like, "Hey, you want to pray?" And she'd go up to groups of teenagers that are walking with their beer down the street and be like, "Come on into the church. Jesus is waiting. Jesus is waiting." And what she'd do is she would grab them and then pass them to me. And we walk inside the church. And there was a group of about 5 or 6 of these guys, probably late teens, early 20s. And they're all walking along, like I said, beer in hand, going to the concert. And the Lord brought them on a detour. And here we are, next thing they know, walking into a church. And as we got closer to the doorway, I said, "Hey guys, we're going to go in. I'll give you a candle. You can light it and walk up to the front and say a prayer and leave it there at the altar. And whatever you want to ask the Lord for." And the guys are looking at me like, okay, we can do this. And they're looking around and I could tell they're nervous. I don't know when the last time was they've been inside of a church. But as we're getting ready to walk in, I turn and I notice they've all got their beer still. So I was like, "Hey guys, you mind doing me a favor? Just set the beers here next to the doorway and we'll grab them when we come out. Nobody's gonna touch them, I promise you, they're okay." And so one of the guys looks at me, looks at his friends, and he says, "We going in?" I was like, "Yeah, we're going in." And he just takes his beer, shoots it back with one go, and hands me the empty cup. He's like, "Okay, ready." And I'm like, this is crazy, man. I've heard of liquid courage for getting on a dance floor, but liquid courage to go inside of a church is wild. So anyhow, we walk in, we get into the church, and they go up one by one, and they say a prayer, put their candles down, and some of them are like, put it down and run. Others stayed for a moment. And as we're leaving the church, all of us together, we get outside and I start talking to them and I ask them, I was like, "Hey guys, what was the intentions you prayed for?" And one of them mentioned a grandfather. I said, "Do you want to say a prayer for him together? Let's come over here to the side and we'll say a prayer." And we began to pray together. And I just offered the Lord a prayer for healing for his grandfather and for the family in the situation of just the suffering of watching somebody you love be sick and be ill and be suffering themselves. And so at the end of the prayer, they asked me, "What are you doing here?" Like, American, who's like in his mid-30s, who's in Europe, dressed like this, with this beard, talking to me about Jesus at a church, at a huge festival. Like, what's going on? And so I shared my testimony, talked to him about my experience of God, my encounter with Jesus Christ, and how he changed my life. And at that moment, one of them looks at me and he's like, "Whoa, man, that's crazy." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, let me tell you something else. Have any of you ever heard of the prodigal son?" And they all looked around at each other and they're like, "No." So I start telling them the story of the prodigal son. I start talking to him about this experience of a young man who has rejected the love of his father, who has wasted his life looking for himself as being number one, pleasure being his God. And at the end of it, finding that he had nothing to show for it, in fact, was more empty inside after that than he was before, and that had returned and not found a father who was ready to beat him with a stick, to yell at him for what he had done, found a father with open arms who was ready to lovingly embrace him. And I'm sitting there telling this story. And one of the guys is like, I know that story. I've heard this story. And he's so excited that he recognized a story from Luke's gospel in chapter 15. And immediately, one of the other guys in the group just like spontaneously says, I don't know that story. I want to know that story. And as he says this, it was this cry of the heart of a young man that didn't know who he was in God the Father's eyes, didn't know that mercy was possible, didn't know that there was a purpose deeper for his life than shooting back a beer, didn't know that there was more that he was made for. He wanted to know that story. We all want to know that story because it is our story. As human beings, it's the story of God's beautiful, incessant, passionate desire to be in relationship with you, with me, with all of us. And that he does not wait to condemn. He waits to save, to heal, to forgive, to open his arms and welcome us home. Yeah, there's a story, it's a beautiful story, the story of salvation, the story of what God has done for each of us, sending his son Jesus into this world and calling us home to the Father's house. If you don't know that story, if you don't know that that's your story, then brothers and sisters, I invite you, read Luke chapter 15. Check it out. Spend some time listening to God describe who he is for you. He's a loving, merciful Father who desires for you to come home. Brothers and sisters, we're on the journey home to the Father's house. Poco a poco vamos a llegar un día al cielo. Till next time, God bless y'all. Peace.